No, it's fine. Hello everyone. Very good afternoon. This is Sakshi. Welcome to today's webinar on e-commerce and digital marketing, which is brought to you by SocialBeat and DigiGrad. So, a little bit about us. DigiGrad is an edtech initiative by SocialBeat, which is a multi-city leading digital marketing agency, and we have been in this industry for almost a decade now. And also, we are a Google Premium partner, and we have worked with brands like Swiggy, Paytm, Jackpot, TataClick, and many more. So we come with an aim to help working professionals and young aspirants evolve in their career by providing them with practical training and guidance from industry experts. So today we have a very special guest with us, Ms. Marisha Karthikeyan. Welcome, Marisha. So she is a digital marketing head at a product development company, Improto Technologies in Bangalore. On a high level, she helps e-commerce and early stage D2C brands improve their sales graph digitally. And she works in providing holistic consulting using automated workflows to optimize productivity and sales for businesses. Welcome, Marisha. We are very glad to have you here.
Thank you, Sakshi, and thank you so much for the introduction. And very, very good evening to all of you who are watching the webinar. And I hope you will have a lot of takeaways from today's short discussion. Since I've touched upon a very broad topic of e-commerce and digital marketing, I am covering a lot of high-level aspects and not going into extreme details in terms of verticals and solutions that you can probably arrive at. So to give you a small snapshot of why exactly I took the topic of e-commerce is because we are sort of in a very, very big high in terms of e-commerce sales, development, and expansion. right now in 2021, because we've seen an insane growth of you know major leaps. I think in a span of 2 to 3 months, or maybe at the max of 6 months, where we would have ideally seen this e-commerce growth over a year or so. So I just get straight into the presentation, and if you have any queries, we could probably connect back once the session is over. Yeah. So in terms of future for e-commerce in 2021, like I've explained, we are having a lot of offline spend being shifted online. And right now, what we could probably see is the products that are rarely bought online, for example, grocery, your health essentials, your medicine, have now become e-commerce staples. So in turn, we have a consumer behavior difference, which sort of pushes us to cater to immediacy, convenience, and speed as top of consumer level demands. And we are sort of like accustoming to this and calling this as a new normal. So right now, what we are seeing is almost in terms of India, we are looking at a major growth. So I should say we have seen an increase in e-commerce investment, sales, and small mushroom growths of various local D2C brands to almost 27 to 35% increase. So here, the major segments that we are seeing improve in terms of e-commerce is online grocery, for example, like grocers, F2H. We also have brands like Swiggy open their inner online grocery convenience stores. We also have pharmacy, for example, NetMeds. And also the other segment that's seeing a lot of VC investment is social commerce. So majorly that investment comes from giants like Facebook. The other part is D2C. What all of this is D2C, but we have a local segment also. For example, I'm sure when you look at, maybe look at into your friends circle also, you would find, your own friends open up a small e-commerce store, transitioning from an offline retail store to an online retail store, such as that. So right now, what we are looking at and what we're waiting for is, in fact, WhatsApp has already introduced its payment gateways, but we are also waiting for its shopping features to get in. So I think that would be a major shift in terms of e-commerce prediction and growth. So to testify what I'm trying to say here in terms of growth is, we are seeing a very huge rise in the cost per click. So month-wise, you at 2020, the beginning of the year, we saw it at $0.71. In July, we've already seen $1. So here, what I am trying to tell is we are seeing an increase in terms of advertising spend for the D2C brands, and it is continuing to grow. And right now, most of the brands, irrespective of whether they are an established e-commerce brand or they're just growing, they definitely do consider 10 to 15% of their annual budgeting for marketing purposes, and digital marketing happens to be one segment of it most of the time. So here, I'd like to sort of simplify the whole trend and, lot of fast movement progress that we're seeing over the year into top trends. And these trends, I further split it down into 5 trends only. So here, our first trend that we will be looking at is the D2C brands prioritizing a seamless omni-channel experience. So what do I mean by omni-channel experience? So what we are seeing right now is a lot of brands have sort of like, they have a lot of retail stores available offline. And because of the pandemic, they are moving online. So once you move online, you might have to test different channels to increase your brand awareness and also to increase your revenue. So here, our demand of the hour becomes unifying your entire experience from one backend or from one functioning system and spreading it out evenly across, across your social media outlets or across your offline stores or whatever approaches that you take. So ideally, what we will be looking at is sort of like trying to unify the entire process in terms of products, inventory, giving a very unified customer experience, and also talking about being more responsive to your customer end of the day. So that what I mean by omni-channel here would be me trying to consolidate all my products. For example, let's just take an example here. If I have a shoe store and I have around 30 to 40 products in my shoe store, I have 2 to 3 offline stores, I might have to create an internal system where I can track the sales that happens from my offline stores and also my online store, because I've opened up an e-commerce platform right now. So here I would require to consolidate my SKUs, my product, give a very detailed description of what my product is, how beneficial it is to my customer, and also bring in a bunch of images that connect with the customer immediately, so that it blurs the experience between physical and virtual. So that's one major touch point that a lot of e-commerce newbies have to really adapt to. Now, the other segment in terms of sales is we need to create a consolidated or a single POS system. What we mean by POS is the number of sales that come in from each of the channels. When we see an increase, could be scattered and you might lose data also, and sometimes we would not be able to account clearly on what routes you got your sales, on what routes you lost your sales, or what are the changes that we should be probably be doing in the next month for us to improve that particular set of sales. So a POS is a must-have in terms of e-commerce platforms. Apart from this, the most biggest drive or shift that we're seeing is making your entire website mobile responsive. Because right now, in terms of consumption, we are at 90% of mobile consumption and barely at 10% of website or desktop consumption. So in that way, all of these points put together create an omni-channel experience, and these are the most basic approaches that we should ideally be following in terms of creating a holistic setup. Now, the next trend that we would probably look into is new customer behavior. So what do we mean by new customer behavior? Pre-pandemic, we would have people sort of wait in terms of delivery, or there was no sense of urgency that was initiated to any of the products that they place, because they would always have an offline store next to them to get the very emergency products that they actually require. But right now, since the pandemic, we are trying to cater to people in terms of convenience and in terms of immediacy. So our major point is to separate and identify our USPs in such a way that we would be able to sort of create a great product experience where we sort of bring in comparison between the products that they choose and the products that they would ideally want. Maybe come up with a bunch of auto suggestions, or create a comparison chart on your e-commerce portal itself saying, hey, this product is actually a better fit for you than the product that you've actually chosen. So that sort of little or very simple communication would sort of help the customers connect with your brand step by step by the time they reach your checkout or buy your product itself. The next most important part is looking at extremely undisturbed shopping experiences. So we should be able to unify our information and also display our information in the right way or within like a single landing page or single product description, or have a chatbot in case of inquiries, or try and bring in a little bit of human connection when people are actually shopping online. Because if we have information scattered in 2 or 3 pages, or maybe I might have to leave my website and go elsewhere, search and come back, that's where I actually create a gap in terms of consumer behavior. Or maybe I might even lose that potential customer from buying. Maybe they made up their mind, and in the checkout flow or in my customer journey, I would have lost them because I just made them move from my page elsewhere. So that's one major part that we'll have to look into. The other part that I think a lot of people don't really adapt to, but will have to, is doing a lot of live streams for their products, or displaying via a YouTube live, or doing a pre-recorded Zoom session, etc., and connecting with your customers, and also having certain surprise sessions to connect with people via Instagram, Facebook, uh, would ideally help create a lot more of connection and also brand awareness, and also sort of highlight and inform people that you are attempting and trying to connect with customers in a holistic way. So this ideally is the start of brand awareness and marketing for any e-commerce portal. The next would be fulfillment. What we mean by fulfillment will be your inventory management and your delivery services. So this has sort of become a do or die situation for most of the brands, because as a local business owner, I might have a lot of products and they might be out of stock, and people would not be ideally ready to wait for 2 or 3 days, or maybe my delivery is, uh, my committed timeline is at, maybe one day, and I get my product after 2 or 3 days, might be a big issue, and I might lose that customer from returning and buying my own product. So here we look at fulfillment as a competitive differentiator. So the brands that have extremely good fulfillment setup actually manage and hold returning customers on a larger rate. So here my suggestion would be is to sort of automate or outsource your fulfillment processes. Like for example, you can tie up with ShipRocket or go with delivery and have like a third party system set up, so that it's easier for you and they handle it in a fast, free, and sustainable way. The other part is to offer local delivery. So for example, if you have a warehouse or a inventory setup in the local regions, maybe have one inventory setup for 5 regions or 10 regions, and connect between these local regions and also offer faster delivery. This would sort of reduce your churn rate in terms of customer lifetime as well. Now, coming to the fourth part, which is brand building. And since we are seeing a lot of mushrooms grow up right now in terms of e-commerce, brand building has become sort of difficult for a lot of people. So what we could ideally do and stand out is we can offer solutions to customers rather than give the products directly, not just place them or position them as products, but rather as solutions to any problem that they have. So here what we could also look at on a positive note is people are willing to pay a premium for brands with a purpose. So it could be a social purpose, or it could talk about sustainability, or sustainability in terms of packaging. Anything that particularly serves a purpose has a lot of premium value, and socially conscious consumers are willing to pay that price for your particular brand. So here again, we will touch upon creating very, very rich, immersive, and highly customized and unique product selling experiences through your particular channels. So the channels you can choose are based on your previous sales data. So that changes greatly vertical to vertical. So the next part that we will be looking at is trying to retain my customer or to increase the lifetime value of the customer. So here, what we are looking at is we are looking at very high acquisition costs. So maybe if it's a shoe priced at, let's say, 4K, I should not be spending 4K to gain my customer via my digital mediums. Though in the beginning it could be the start, but what we can do to eliminate such high costs is to create new channels of experimentation, like using voice powered shopping, or sort of creating loyalty programs, or trying to incentivize and rank your returning customers accordingly and treat these customers in different levels. Also, there is a major shift where we can actually look into trying to drive people away from using the search bar for your products into giving them automated suggestions based on their previous activity, and sort of like reducing their customer process flow in the entire e-commerce portal. So the more we try and communicate with the customer via our portals, have a, if there's a return back or anything, we could have like a salesperson talk to them and ease that process out. If there's a delay in delivery, we ease that process out as well. So all of these minor touch points would actually help in retaining the customer and also increasing their lifetime value. So here, overall, what do we do in terms of improving our e-commerce sales, or to increase brand awareness for each of the vertical? So like I mentioned, customers search for solutions and not for brands. So when we look at Amazon, 70% of the product search that happens does not include a brand name at all. And almost 90% of the product views that we will see are not based on brands or on merchandising. It's just their problem statement, and you land up in a bunch of search or listicles where you have products based on that particular search. So that itself gives us a major cue on how exactly we should levitate and move towards our branding for our e-commerce portal. So before we actually get into the solution, we can actually look at what are the reasons that demand, what are the reasons that we see a high demand for purpose-driven brands. So what do I mean by purpose-driven brands is, for example, in terms of social causes as well, or if I use sustainable materials to build my product. These brands, though they are premium, they do see a high demand. And if we look at corporate owned or high let's say wholesale e-commerce platforms, the main reason of shopping, one could be very good product selection. They also have them at a lower cost, and they are extremely reliable. So they do know that if they shop for like 100 products, their number of fault products or pieces could be very, very low in the entire selection. The other would be looking at in terms of B2C, or which is, it could either be an online or an in-store purchase. So when we look at from a local perspective, it could ideally be, hey, my friend is actually running that store, or there is a local guy that's actually doing it, and I would want to support that guy. So that contributes to almost 33% of the people buying from a local store. The other could be highly customized or very unique products that we can get. So for example, we have seen Instagram turn into a very big marketplace just because of these unique products that people from different parts of the country can actually provide. Apart from that, the major reason that people go for these local stores is a very, very good customer service. Either the business owner himself handles the customer service, or they have a very strong person who is actually taking care of the customer at every single touch point. So what exactly are the primary challenges that we actually have in terms of evolving a personalized strategy or tactic for e-commerce? Could be maybe we were not able to target our right set of audience throughout our journey based on our USPs. So for each e-commerce portal or product development, the USPs could be extremely unique, or maybe, we've just not been able to track. That is 42% of the problem statement that any digital marketer could get in terms of e-commerce. Apart from this is, we are in terms of marketing performance, we are heavily dependent only on single channel sales. So when probably we are driving e-commerce business only online, and we are not probably looking at an offline approach as well, or we are looking only at 2-3 campaigns digitally, and we are not looking to spread because we may not have a budget, or maybe there are lack of technology resources, or the kind of relevant data that we probably require is not available, or maybe the team or organization that is behind the entire e-commerce is extremely spread out, and in terms of getting a buy-in, the process might be slow, or simply put, the talent resources behind the portal could also be less. So these could be a bunch of reasons why we have single channel marketing and sales efforts put out. Apart from that is, the biggest issue that we could ideally look at is the quality of data that we get, and also highly inconsistent customer experience. So maybe you get a customer experience and feedback, and that could be negative. We actually have to go out and work on that particular customer experience immediately, rather than hold back and implement it after maybe, let's say, a month or two. So the more we catch up with our customer, put ourselves in our customer's shoes, and view from their point of view, the more successful we can actually transform our business too. So the biggest takeaway that I would ideally like to talk about is human connection. So, and in terms of watching all the pre-pandemic e-commerce experiences and the post-pandemic e-commerce experiences, we can say that a lot of online consumption and buying has improved. So there are certain aspects in which the customer behavior has stayed static. So it could be because, there are very, very high quality products, and the customers constantly get discounts, free gifts, or loyalty programs. They have a very good treatment from the brand itself. So that sort of improves my LTV of customers. Now, when we look at baby bloomers in terms of e-commerce, we see there are like 3 points that sort of improve their sales. So one would be, hey, I've actually received fantastic customer experience from this particular brand. I feel a lot involved with that brand because they're taking a lot of my feedback in terms of product development or customer experience, or in terms of inventory and fulfillment management. And it sort of almost feels like I have a personal relationship with this particular brand. So when we reach this queue of positivity, we can be definite that we can see a lot of sales and improvement down the lane when we consistently catch up on such positive feedbacks. Now, to simply put, when we look from a overall perspective, as an e-commerce portal, we should have a personalized program or strategy in hand for us to navigate and also to improve sales and brand awareness. One could be, if you just have an e-commerce portal, you can move into creating a mobile app and creating personalization and accessibility for your existing customers, and also expanding your customer base. The next could be something that has stayed static and has been a silent boon for all your marketing efforts is email marketing. Email marketing still remains very, very, very relevant in terms of cold outreach, or in terms of connecting with consumers very, very easily. The next we see is conversational marketing. SMS and conversational marketing come under one segment. So here I could ideally text people in terms of the campaigns or the sale, discount or offers that we have. The other is conversational, where we can actually get in touch with people via Telegram or WhatsApp, ask them their queries, ask them their feedback, and sort of build a relationship with that particular customer. Apart from this, to improve and sort of sustain our LTV, we would ideally recommend loyalty programs. So loyalty programs could be, hey, you actually bought for, let's say, 3,000 rupees. So I'm going to be giving you a point segment, or you for, let's say, 300 points or 400 points, and sort of encourage these people to go up and about and keep increasing their loyalty points in that particular program and sort of redeem it. So you sort of set up this cycle where a person purchases and eventually they come back to redeem their points because of that purchase in a span of 2 to 3 months, or 1.5 months, to redeem these points. And then you just keep doing that as a cycle. Alternatively, we can look at subscription models. So let's say you want to buy a medicine, and you would want that particular medicine every month. We sort of set a subscription inside our product page itself, saying, hey, remind me, I need to buy this product by the next month. That's one way. Or you can have them place an order saying that I'm going to buy this product for, like, let's say 6 months together. So I'm paying up right now. You please keep sending me my batch of, or my stack of medicines every month on so and so dates. So that's another way we can look at loyalty programs. Apart from this is, we can go extremely heavy in terms of visuals, where we sort of create that connection, premiumness, and also authenticity of that particular brand via display ads. And also not to lose out on your in-store activities while doing such efforts. Apart from this, like we've mentioned, we can definitely look into having a dedicated call center team, or have someone from a sales perspective, someone from a customer service perspective, talk to the customers exclusively, sort of handle their feedback and improve upon that feedback as well. So my final thoughts in terms of e-commerce and how we can use digital marketing effectively is, for us, number one is to identify what exactly is the path for a customer to start and to purchase. So for us to track all the touch points and what could be the roadblocks in that particular path for us via data. The other part is to understand the attributes, attitudes, and motivations of our consumers. The most popular way to do it is by creating a target persona, or let's try and simplify this a little more by just probably hitting up a few customers and asking them what exactly they look in terms of product and service. So that could actually lead to eventual creation of target persona. Apart from that is to remember and identify that your mobile phone is the device for information and for people to decide whether they're going to do that purchase or not. So anything and everything that we do in terms of e-commerce develops and depends upon optimization for mobile phones. And the most important thing is to identify what are the key values that our consumers depend upon while deciding the purchase. So you could probably provide this information as a blog or as a snippet or as a listicle, or maybe even have a lot of influencers talk about your products and sort of verify and give testimonials saying, hey, this product is actually really valuable, and you could sort of go and do your purchase. So uh, holistically, these are the ideas that I have in terms of e-commerce sales and purchase and brand awareness. If you have any queries, I'm open to take.
Thank you so much, Marisha. It was definitely a lovely session and very informative as well. And thank you so much for your guidance. And we do have some questions.
Sure.
So I'll just read them out to you.
Yes.
So Prasad wants to know that what are the functional departments which are absolutely necessary for setting e-commerce business, both online and offline?
See, so when we talk about e-commerce, we are talking about an online store. Offline, it's actually called an in-store purchase. So like I mentioned, in terms of functional departments or from an operational perspective, I would keep the inventory management to be at the topmost. It's for you to clearly map and understand how many products you want to sell. What are your topmost selling products? What are the products that have tanked up? And what are the Medicare products that are selling? Maybe it's a seasonal sale. Maybe it's just a necessity based sale. For example, when we look at hand sanitizers, they turned out to be a necessity for the pandemic time. Okay, so that was the surge that we actually saw for these products. Now, if I would consider a hand sanitizer before the pandemic, I think most commonly we would look at extremely hygienic people only by who say, hey, I think I touched the door or something like that, and I probably want to wash my hands at a restaurant that doesn't have a tap of sorts or something. But here I would definitely consider segmenting your products into top selling Medicare and tanked up products on an initial level, and from there we look at mapping your products properly. So what I mean by mapping is creating a very, very clear systemic flow of naming your SKUs, your pricing, and also the delivery process for these products. So in terms of SKUs, I know people tend to be lazy in terms of naming them, but when you have a sudden search, it might turn out to be a confusion. And also to look at here is in terms of product description. So if you have very similar products, you might have to highlight and sort of inform people of what exactly is the difference between the two of your similar products. So, and delivery, yes. So you might want to say, hey, my product is available only in Bangalore, and it might take a few more days to reach Chennai of sorts. So we might have to very, very clearly set that up. Apart from that, when I look at connecting between an online and an offline store, I would highly look into creating a unified system where I'm able to track my invoices from my offline store and my online store as well into one system, and not have two different systems, because we might have lost some or the other information there. Otherwise, the flow is very similar for offline stores.
All right, thank you. And then we also asked that, and what sort of digital marketing mix helps an e-commerce business to scale?
I'd like to know what exactly he meant by digital marketing mix and for what vertical is this. So if I could get a little more details on that, I would be able to sort of, give my own suggestions. See, in terms of digital marketing mix on a very high level, we can look equally. See, if I'm taking products like chocolates or, local businesses like shoes, or maybe it's a, let's say an aviation business that's trying to sort of build their, let's say, some small course that they have, I would look into SEO very heavily because SEO sort of brings organic leads. Apart from that, I look at a lot of social media ads. Instagram is my heaviest marketplace because I have all kinds of audiences that you can probably capture. Apart from that, if you go slightly heavier, we can look at Google text-based ads on an initial level and then move into display ads as well. So based on the vertical, if you can give me a little more insight, I would be able to help you further.
Sure. Sachin asked that what do you recommend to understand customer attitudes apart from surveys?
Okay. Good question, actually. So, uh, see,
Maybe the reviews.
see, reviews is one side of it. In terms of effectively approaching I wouldn't suggest surveys at all because I think I would fill a survey halfway through and drop the survey off. It's just normal human behavior, right? We're not going to fill the survey completely. So I would ideally encourage people to call a bunch of customers directly, spend 2-3 minutes and get all your queries answered. That is the best and ultimate approach that I've seen actually work. And in addition to it, if you have a lot of negative feedback, please respond to them. Definitely respond to them, because the more people don't respond to it, it sort of builds this unnecessary attribute where people think, okay, this brand is utterly irresponsive, so even if there's a new customer, they would not want to buy a product from you. So please respond to negative feedback. And also, if you want information for for target persona, just call them up and find out. That's the best way.
Okay. Dhanashri asked that can companies make use of Facebook Messenger of an e-commerce website audience to talk about product purchase update, and also if the product is not available?
Okay. Okay, if your product is not available, I would definitely not suggest Facebook Messenger. You can actually take the email marketing route. Go for an email marketing, do an initial reach, just in case. If it's just a breeze or something that you want to inform people, see, hey, I have this particular piece of information that I want to communicate to you. You can go two ways. One, go email marketing, or do your social media posts and reach people out. So these are the two best ways. I would not recommend Facebook Messenger.
And okay, I have one question that Marisha, like, what does it require to be ready for to set up an e-commerce brand in a developing country? Like, what exactly do we need?
Okay, so so there are some basic metrics that I really look into when we talk about setup of e-commerce. One, either my bunch of products or my concept itself has been able to sell very, very well offline, and I already have a decent customer base present offline, and I want to transform into an e-commerce portal. Okay, so this is one thing that I sort of think is the deal maker in terms of e-commerce. And other parts would be, these are the luxury ad points that I would look at. I have a highly, novel product, or I'm a luxury product, and I sort of think only e-commerce is sort of going to help me. And I have, business ideas that could probably sell in a blaze, then I would definitely go for e-commerce directly. Apart from that, we're seeing a lot of consumer trends in terms of electronics and appliances. I think if you have a very novel idea, or you think you are actually catering to, let's say, a locality's pain point, then yeah, e-commerce could be an option as well.
Okay, thank you. And what will be the two most important digital marketing channels for any e-commerce brand?
Okay, so I consider social media that is Facebook and Instagram to be the best for e-commerce sales. And I think the next, I wouldn't call a sales channel, but let's say a communication point and that would be my WhatsApp Messenger or my chatbot. Very important to customer service, and I think that sort of helps me connect from intent to selling to a sale end of the day. So these are my two main channels that I would go for.
Okay, thank you so much. And I think that's all. Guys, if you have any other question, please put it down in the comment box so that we could take it up. Maybe we can just wait for 2-3 minutes if any of them have any question. Sachin has replied that, yes, this is very true about surveys. That we always leave it in between. That even I have done it so many times. I try to fill it, but then I'm like, okay, leave it.
No, it's a very old technique to follow, and I'm definitely not okay with it. Being a digital marketer, I don't think even I will fill up a survey form. No, I would not. I'm happy to pick up a phone call and respond. More than happy to do that.
Yeah. So I think that's all for today. No more questions. Thank you so much for joining us, guys, and thank you so much, Marisha, for taking out time and giving us so much information about e-commerce and digital marketing, and especially for answering my questions. Thank you. And is there anything else you would want to share with us?
Not really. I think I've had a very nice session, and thank you, Sakshi, for roping me in. It was, in fact, it's been a very nice time for me to recollect all my, my methodologies and approaches and put it out to a whole bunch of people. And thanks to all of the people who have actually joined the session, and I hope you had some good takeaways from it.
Especially mine would be the mobile phone point, that it is the ultimate source of information. Definitely.
Definitely, it's 90%. There's nobody going for web these days.
Absolutely. So thank you so much. It's great having you here. I just guys, if you have any question, you can drop it in the comment box, and we might try to answer it. So Sachin says thank you. I think that's all.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Bye bye, Marisha. Bye bye.
Thank you.
Bye bye.
Have a good day. Thanks.